Right. So yeah, let's start in a seat. And as always, you can perch on a block or on a bolster if that feels more comfortable. We're going to take a few moments to just tune into the breath. And you might choose to soften the eyes as you start to pay closer attention to your breathing. And see here if you can slow your breaths down. You might just breathe through the nose or choose to exhale out your mouth. And you might breathe in for 3 to 5 counts. And then breathe out for 5 to 8 counts. And just take your time here with a few cycles of breath. Perhaps you observe your posture and notice if you can lengthen in your spine, especially on the inhalations. And do your best to keep your spine tall and alert. And as you exhale, notice where you can relax and release. Often we're holding tension in the shoulders and neck. And take just a couple more of those nice long and slow breaths. On the next exhale, chin can lower to the chest. And then we'll add a few half neck circles. So again, you're choosing to move at a pace that feels good in your body. Might mean a little slower, or maybe a little more quickly. And you can also open up your full circles. Noticing if you can still create length in the neck, especially as you look up and lift the chin. And don't forget to spiral the opposite direction. And we're going to keep the ear over to your left shoulder for a few breaths. Here you got the option to send the right arm down by your side. You might just actively reach the palm away from the body and then start to flex the fingers up and down. You can choose to add your circles with the wrist. Feel free to spread the fingers wide, or maybe notice how it feels to tuck them into a fist. And you can keep going with this movement. You can also send the other arm behind your back, grab your forearm, and you can hold on anywhere between the elbow and wrist. We're going to lift the center of the chest, and then maybe start to lift the chin, wiggle the jaw away from that side. You can add some movement with the head here, tracing super slow circles, maybe finding areas that you simply want to hold and breathe. You're actively trying to create space across the collarbones and the upper chest. One more complete breath. And exhale, release, resetting at center before taking the ear to the opposite shoulder and floating the other hand. Again, just start with reaching the palm away from the body, flexing the fingers up and down. Maybe taking the wrist all the way around, or the fingers spread or tighter into a fist. And again, you can take your other arm behind the back, hooking onto the forearm, encouraging the shoulder blades to slide away from the ears as you float the chin. Maybe add some little movements in your jaw. And perhaps some slow movements of the head. Continue to bring the awareness to those steady breaths. And as you complete the next breath out, start to release hands back to the lap, chin to your chest. With an inhale, lift the gaze all the way up. And exhale, lower. Once again, deep breath in as you look up. And exhale, draw the chin to the chest. As you breathe in, look forward. Let's reach the arms high. And then exhale, turn to the left side. And lots of options with the arms. You can keep palms facing away from you in line with the shoulders. Take the opposite or the front arm across to the opposite thigh. Your fingers can graze the earth here if that feels more supportive. And we're still lengthening through the very top of the head, especially on the breaths in. And using your core to deepen the twist. You might take the back arm and cross it over the front. So as if you're grabbing opposite thighs here, tuck the chin, try to curl the tail underneath you. Maybe feel as though you're trying to squeeze the arms together and uncross them, but keep them where they're at. Really feel that space at the upper back. And as you inhale, reach high to the sky, lengthen the side body. And exhale, turn the opposite direction, and you choose arms wide with the palms facing away from you. Maybe front arm crosses to the opposite thigh. Notice how it feels to look back toward the back thumb as you reach for the wall behind you. Continuing to lift the center of the chest. And an option to take the back arm and cross it over the front, creating that X. Curling the spine here, tucking the tail as if you're pulling it underneath the body. Maybe squeeze the arms together. Notice that sensation. Encourage more space between the shoulder blades. And one more complete breath. As you breathe in, reach up, get tall. And on the exhale, cactus the arms, open the chest. Take a moment to hold here. Really squeeze the shoulder blades down and together. And as you exhale, you're going to turn the palms to face your face and squeeze your forearms together. Notice if your elbows are down low. See if you can squeeze and lift the elbows higher, maybe in line with the shoulders. Take another breath here, really lengthening the tips of the elbows away from the body. And as you breathe in, cactus the arms, open the chest, palms can face forward. Hold here. We're going to do that again. So as you exhale, palms turn to face your face. Squeeze the forearms together from the elbows to the wrists. And notice if you can lift the elbows a little higher. One more breath. Keep squeezing. And on the inhale, open the arms wide. Cactus the arms. This time, inhale, reach the arms high. And then we're going to tilt over to one side and pause. Really breathe into those spaces between the ribs. Do your best to relax that bottom shoulder farther from the ear. And you can add your arm circles here a few times, starting with the thumb to the back. I like to rotate my palm to the sky as I reach up, and then flip the palm to the ground as I come across. And that just allows you to get the full expansion and rotation in the shoulder. A few more deep breaths. And the next one's going to float us all the way through to the opposite side. Taking a breath to just arrive. Notice how much space you can create between the ribs, grounding through your sitting bones, actively lengthening through the top hand, and an option for those arm circles. And feel free to move with your breath here. You might inhale as you reach up and overhead, and exhale as you come across the body. few more this side. Beautiful. Next one's going to float us all the way through to the other side, and we're going to rock from side to side a couple rounds. So arms can shift up and overhead like we've been playing with. Alternatively, you can reach the arms across the horizon. And then as you arrive, turn the chest open. So a couple more to play with that. Last one. Nice. And we're going to come into an easy forward fold. So you might have hands on the earth, maybe just the fingertips, perhaps the palms, maybe the forearm. You can support the forehead here with your block if you like, or stacking your fists. Wherever you are, we're taking those full breaths. You can remain still. You can also add a little rotation in your torso, shifting the weight from one arm to the other. Still breathing deeply. One more full breath. And then slowly rise with the next inhale back to your seat. And let's shift to our hands and knees. Once you find this tabletop position, bring the knees under your hips, hands under shoulders, and you can play around for these next few breaths, maybe rotating your hips. You can choose to make circles larger or smaller. You can reverse your circles or stick with half circles toward the back half of the mat. Maybe even tuck the toes, stretch the feet, wag the tail. And this is subtle, but you can press into the hands to shift the hips back even more. Think about curling your tailbone down toward your heels as you rock your tail side to side. And you might prefer just to launch forward and back a few times, beginning to open the front of the hips. Toes can be tucked or untucked. Another breath. We'll take a couple breaths to get into our wrists. So for this one, you can rotate the thumbs to the top side of your mat, fingers out to either side. We're going to rock from left to right, and I like to relax the head here. Just let the shoulder blades slide together, chest melts down toward the earth. And to prevent dumping just all the pressure into the wrists, really press into your knuckles and the fingertips of the hand you're leaning toward. Distribute that weight. And then option to pause, maybe turn one palm up toward the sky and press the back of the wrist down. Fingers can point toward the opposite hand. They can also rotate back toward your knees. You can play with spreading the fingers and curling them into your palm. And then we're going to shake it out and do the opposite. So again, palm turns up. Back of the wrist is all the way on the earth. We're not just on the knuckles. Maybe open and close, or try pointing the fingers back toward the body. And then release, make your way to a kneeling position. And you can stay high on your knees. Some of you might tuck your toes and take a few breaths sitting back on your heels. You can untuck the toes at any point. We're going to interlace the hands and press the palms away from you. Really pull the belly in toward you. Spread that space between the shoulder blades. Maybe tuck the chin. Another breath. And then slowly rise high into the knees as you reach the arms high. So you're going to untuck the toes, maybe widen your base. Breathe in as you reach up. And on the exhale, we're going to release the hands and then bring one hand down to your thigh. You're going to press into your leg and slide the fingers closer to the knee as you reach the other arm high and arc over. Take another breath. Notice if you're kind of caving in the chest, see if you can peel that top armpit open. And as you breathe in, both arms reach up. And then exhale, bring the opposite hand down, pressing arm into leg and sliding the fingertips down as you reach the other arm up. Take another breath. Again, notice if you can open the upper chest toward the sky. Do that one more time. So inhale, both arms high. And then exhale, press the hand into the leg, slide the bottom fingers down, reach the top arm up. As you breathe and rise back up. And then last one, other side, pressing hand into leg. Use that as support so you can arc maybe a little further. And as you breathe in, both arms reach high. And then exhale, cactus the arms, open the chest. Inhale, reach up. Just an option here. If you have a strap, you're welcome to use it, or even a shirt here to expand your reach. You're going to grab opposite hands. If that doesn't feel accessible, you can hold on to opposite forearms. We're trying to create that opening in the upper chest. If you got hands interlaced, we're driving the knuckles down, lifting the center of the chest. Feel free to keep looking forward here. You can stay on the knees if that feels good. You can also sit back on the heels if that feels better. And some of you might choose to fold at your hips here with a breath out. The crown of the head might come close to the ground. If it touches, keep maybe only 20% of the body weight on the head here, perhaps less. Arms can reach up even higher away from the body for just a couple of breaths. And when you're ready to come out of it, you're going to slowly rise, release the grip. Maybe sit back on the heels if that's comfortable to do so for just a couple breaths. Palms can face the sky and rest on your lap. And maybe take a breath or two to just close your eyes. Notice any sensations. As you take that moment to pause, you can start to shift into embryo pose or child's pose. Embryo pose, knees come together, arms are going to rest back by the hips with the palms up in front of the shoulders, heavy, melting down toward the ground. You might be on your forehead here. You're welcome to support the head. You can choose stillness, just letting the body soften into this shape. You can add a little rocking from side to side, massaging the third eye center, maybe wiggling the hips. And if you choose, you can take extended child's pose for a few breaths, knees wide, arms sliding to the top of the mat. And again, head and heart melting down toward the ground. Option to remain still. Or take those full breaths and add a little rocking from side to side. And if you're not already, you're invited to extend the arms out long, widen the knees. You can rotate the palms up toward the sky, but press the forearms down into the ground. Do your best to find length out the fingertips. Keep your arms straight, but feel like you're pulling elbows closer to the knees. Couple breaths. We're going to keep the left palm facing up and then come onto the right fingertips and glide the right fingertips closer to the right knee. You're going to press down with the right fingers and turn your chest away from the ground. You might feel like you're getting heavier on that bottom forearm. We're looking for a stretch on that underside of that bottom arm. Couple breaths. Head can be floating here. You can also just rest on that bottom bicep. Can use a block as a pillow. Another moment. Use your inhale to reach both arms out long and keep the right palm facing up this time, and then slide the left fingers in toward the left knee. Use the left hand to press down, get heavy on that bottom arm, still reaching the fingers away from you while trying to pull the elbow closer to you. Long breath from head to tail. And on the next breath in, arms can extend, palms can stay facing up, or you can plant them on the ground. You might choose to bend the elbows and just press your fingertips together. Keep that connection and then slowly bring the thumbs to the back of your neck. And then notice, sometimes walking the elbows farther from the knees can be helpful here. So you're pressing into the backs of the upper arms. Couple breaths. And when you're ready to release, we're going to plant the arms. You can keep your knees wide and you're going to rock forward. So front of the hips come down toward the ground, toes lift off the earth. If you've got your shoulders up by your ears here, see if you can press into the hands and peel the heart open. We're going to go back and forth from child's pose to that shape. So with an exhale, shift the hips back. And as you breathe in, slowly launch forward again. Press into the hands, open the upper chest. We'll do that a few times. You can move slower or faster. Couple breaths. And you can activate the glutes as you press your hips forward. We'll do two more. So again, moving slow and steady. One more round. Take your time. And once you complete that, go ahead and just pause in child's pose. Might feel helpful to readjust the position of the knees. Maybe you choose to create a little pillow with your palms and rest the forehead on the back of the hands. Another breath. And then start to press yourself through to a tabletop position. Knees will adjust under your hips. Let's start with the right leg to the back of the mat, toes on the ground. You can press into the hands here and really lengthen the heel away from the body. Maybe rock toward the toes, waking up the feet. Nice. We're going to float that leg to about hip height, point and flex your foot, add some rotation. Notice if you have a tendency to sag the back here. So instead of banana back style, press the ground away, flex those back toes down to the ground, stay strong in the upper body, and maybe send the opposite arm out long, thumb to the sky. Hold and breathe here. Maybe bend the back leg and reach in the direction of the foot. You can feel the hamstring and buns working here. You can try to catch the foot if you wish and start to kick the foot away from you as you pull it in towards you. Just one more breath. And then gently let go back to hands and knees. Got a sec here to shake it out. And let's do the other side. So left leg extends. Drive through the heel, stretch out the calf. Move toward the toes a few rounds. And then with a nice strong base, press whatever's touching the earth down. Float the back leg and play with some circles. Continue to activate the muscles in the leg by flexing the foot down to the earth. Option to sweep the opposite arm forward here. Notice how long you can get. And again, option one, stay here. Option two, simply bend the back leg and reach for the foot. And maybe three, catch the foot or the ankle and find resistance between your hand and leg. Notice the breath, do your best to breathe slow. And on the exhale, release back to hands and knees. And we're going to play with a little side body stretch. So if you have a block, this is where one might be useful. You can set it up underneath your face. Let's go left hand on the block. You're going to straighten the right leg out long. And then the knee that you're kneeling on, you're going to swivel that foot behind you. heel of the straight leg comes down to the ground, and you can come up a level on the block here. I try not to be too high. It can be a little precarious if you've got two blocks. You're better off stacking two of them. So find what works for you. But when you've got this long line, you're going to sweep that top arm up by your ear. And notice how much you can press your hips forward. Really open that whole top side body. Actively press into that bottom hand. Then we're going to try to use our abdominals here to come up to a half kneeling position. So slowly rise upright. Sweep what was the bottom arm high to the sky. We're going to tick-tock those shapes a couple of times. So moving slow. Go ahead and plant the bottom hand, reach up with now the top arm, and then use your core to slowly rise with control. And you can just breathe in whatever way feels good here. Do your best to just be consistent. One more time, slowly rise. And as you exhale, perhaps lower and come back to your push-up or tabletop rather. We're going to slide the block over to the other side. You can start with hand on the block. Go ahead and straighten the opposite leg and then bring the other foot behind you like a kickstand. Heel of the straight leg comes down. Top arm can start to sweep up by your ear. Again, notice if you can press the front of the hips forward. So glutes are working here. Everything touching the ground is pressing into the earth. Take another breath. And then slowly rise. I like to inhale and rise up. Bottom arm can now reach high. And as you exhale, perhaps slowly lower. We'll do that just a couple more times. So moving with your breath. Slowly rise. And gracefully do your best to plant the hands. One more time. Lift up. And lower. Once you lower that bottom hand, you can cartwheel the arms, come back to the knees, keep the blocks in the easy access near the top of the mat. And we're going to press back to down dog. Take a few moments to get the kinks out, bending the legs, straightening. Option for your rotation. See if you can keep the hips lifting up and back. Press firmly into the hands to encourage that long spine. Maybe rock forward and back a few times. You can play with being high on the toes or bending the knees a lot, squatting toward the back of the mat and launching forward. Don't be afraid to try something different, new shape. Couple breaths. And then a moment to be still. Maybe lift the hips up and back, bend the knees while keeping the hips lifted, and then start to lower the heels in the direction of the earth. And they might not touch, that's okay. On the next inhale, gaze forward, feet toward the hands, finding your forward fold. Generous bend in the knees, belly can rest on the thighs, arms might cross at your elbows, and the head can completely relax. Take a few more expansive breaths, allowing the spine to get some traction. And then you're going to release the arms and perhaps grab a block once again. Place it underneath your face. So rather than between the feet, a little farther forward. You can start in a higher setting and always go lower. Let's go left hand on the block. Bend the left knee quite a bit and then reach the other arm up. Take a breath here. Lengthen from one palm to the other. Reaching the heart forward. And on the exhale, switch sides. Top hand becomes the bottom. Bend the knee on the hand, on the side of the hand that's down on the ground, and then spin from the center of the chest. We're going to repeat that. So with an exhale, lower the top hand, ground down into the block and then peel the other arm open. Another breath. And with your exhale, slowly switch. You can also be on fingertips here if you're not using a block or a sturdy water bottle. And on the next breath out, we're simply going to fold forward. Blocks again can shift off to the side as you uncurl all the way to standing. Nice deep breath in. And add those shoulder circles, both directions. Next inhale, reach the arms all the way around. And exhale, hands to your heart. Again, deep breath in, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Pause here. Hands can be on your shins. You can slide the hands higher onto the thighs. That helps you activate the muscles along your spine. Do your best to keep opening the front of the chest, the shoulder blades squeezing in and down the back. One more breath in and exhale to fold. Inhale, rise all the way to standing, reach up. Exhale, hands to the heart. One more time, inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, refold. Inhale all the way to standing. Exhale, hands to heart center. Taking it to a kneeling lunge next. Deep breath in. Exhale and bow. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, hands down, right foot steps back. Come onto that knee. And start with hands on the front thigh with your chest proud. We're going to sweep the right arm across the body and then brace the forearms together. So I'll pivot to face you. You're going to squeeze the forearms together. Yeah, we're trying to stretch that outer shoulder. And notice if you can slide the shoulder blades down your back away from the ears. You have the option here to tilt your head toward your hands, so broadening that side of the neck. And then you can also rotate the head to the opposite shoulder. Another breath. With an inhale, reach both arms up, lengthen. And then exhale, cactus the arms, open your chest. Once again, inhale, reach up. Exhale, open. This time, inhale, reach high. And on the exhale, turn away from the front side. So arms reaching out wide, in line with the shoulders. Maybe gaze toward the back hand. Take another breath. Inhale, reach up, face forward, and now turn all the way through to the other side. Arms still reaching wide. Next breath in, arms reach up. And on the exhale, let's bring that right hand down across from the front foot. If you do have a block and you want to use it here, about across from the front foot is a good place under your shoulder. Back knee can stay on the earth. You can also lift the back leg by tucking the toes. Couple breaths. Option to bring that top arm behind your back for a half bind. And connect the back of the wrist with the back of the opposite hip, using the front of that top shoulder to open even wider. And as you exhale, release and reset in downward facing dog, maybe through hands and knees. Deep breath in, long breath out. Inhale, gaze forward, step the right foot forward, back knee down. Hands to the front thigh with the chest proud. And just get your foundation here. You're always welcome to broaden the base for a more stable foundation. We're going to take the left arm and sweep it across the chest and then squeeze your forearms together. So doing your best to straighten the arm that's closest to the body. And then slide the shoulder blades down the back away from the ears. Option to tilt your head toward your hands, broadening the side of your neck. And then maybe tilt the head the opposite way, just another breath. Next inhale, arms reach up. And then exhale, palms forward, elbows wide. Once again, inhale, reach up. Exhale, expand. This time, inhale, reach up. And then exhale, turn away from the front leg, arms reaching wide. Notice if that front knee is caving in toward your big toe, keep opening it slightly to the pinky toe side of the front foot. Take a breath. Next inhale, reach up, face forward, and then swivel all the way to the other side. Notice if you can reach back with those back fingers a little further. Maybe look in that direction. And then inhale, reach up, face forward, and exhale, bring that left hand down across from the front foot. Again, feel free to bring your block into play. You might widen that front foot so you can keep the big toe down, and then option to lift the back knee or not. Whatever's touching the ground is pressing down. Maybe the top arm reaches behind the back. Use that connection to open the front of the top shoulder away from the earth. Couple more breaths. And then exhale, release back to downward facing dog. Couple breaths as you arrive. Let's inhale and lift the right leg up and back. Here you can choose to open the front of the hips to the long edge of the mat. Maybe keep the leg straight and drive up through your heel, or squeeze the heel in toward your bum. With an inhale, look forward, step the foot through, spin the back heel down and rise to warrior two. So we're lunging in toward the front leg, arms reaching over ankles. Go ahead and reverse your warrior with a breath in. Front arm reaches up and back. Maybe gaze toward the back pinky toe and press the edge of that foot down. As you inhale, straighten the front leg. We'll come into triangle pose. You can reach the front arm forward and then tick-tock the arms to 12 and 6. If you want to bring that block into play on the inside or outside of the front ankle is a good spot. Arms are still reaching apart. Heart is lengthening forward. And chest is rotating slightly to the sky. Another breath. As you breathe in, reverse your triangle. 2 straight legs, right arm high once again. And then exhale, cartwheel the arms all the way down. Pause in your plank. Feel free to lower to the knees and then slowly to the belly. Inhale to sink. Elbows under your shoulders. Activating the legs by pressing the tops of the feet down and feel as though you're trying to pull your chest to the top edge of the mat. Slow and steady breath. Option to stay here. You can also play with sweeping the arms by your sides. Palms face the ground. Front of the shoulders are peeling away from the earth. Here the legs might float as well. Notice if you can squeeze everything in toward your spine. Lengthen out the toes and the very top of the head. Take one more inhale. And with an exhale, release and reset in downward facing dog. When you're ready, lift the left leg high with your inhale. Maybe keep that leg straight as you open the front of the hips to the long edge of the mat. Or bend at the knee and squeeze the bum. As you breathe in, look forward, step the foot between the hands. You can help it get there. Find your warrior two, lunging in toward the front leg. And as you inhale, reverse your warrior. Maybe peek toward the back, pinky toe, pressing the edge of that foot down. And as you inhale, come back to center, straighten the front leg. You're going to reach forward with the front palm facing up and then find triangle pose. So hand can rest on that bottom shin, but we're not dumping all the weight in there. Feel like you're lengthening both sides of the body. And again, feel free to bring your blocks into play. Nothing wrong with a little support. Couple of breaths. And as you breathe in, reverse your triangle. 2 straight legs, reach high. And as you exhale, arms cartwheel down, step back to your push-up. Maybe a moment to pause there. Feel that strength. And then lower with or without the knees until you arrive on the belly. Option for a back bend that you choose. Sphinx is always an option. Couple breaths. We're trying to feel the entire back muscles working here. And slightly squeeze the glutes and tuck the tailbone for more space in the low back. And again, option to be here for a few more breaths. You can take that same variation we did with the palms facing the earth. You can also clasp the hands behind you, so feel free to use your strap or something to extend your reach. Otherwise, knuckles drive down to the heels. Toes might float off the ground. Legs are squeezing together, but they don't have to touch. And we're lengthening out the top of the head and through the tips of the toes. Maybe one more full breath. This time as you exhale, you can come into a belly shavasana. Palms turn to face the sky. Front of the shoulders melt down toward the ground. And you can turn your cheek and rest. Maybe close the eyes and take a nice deep belly breath. You can be still. You can bend at the knees and push the legs from side to side. And if you're turned to one cheek, you can rotate to the opposite direction. Even yourself out. And then we're going to slowly press back to downward facing dog. Take a moment to be there. And I'm going to walk you through traditional pigeon, but if you prefer the version on your back, the supine version, feel free to flip over. We're going to start on the right side. So as you inhale, lift the right leg up and back. And then exhale, bring the right knee to the outside of the right wrist, lower to that shin. If you're in traditional pigeon here, I encourage you to take a moment in proud pigeon. So come on to fingertips and then press into the legs. So you might float a little higher off the ground. Feel those muscles in the low body working, almost like you're trying to scissor your legs closed. And then start to relax and fold over that front shin to whatever degree you'd like. You might stay high on the palms. Here's where those blocks can be useful yet again. You can be on forearms. You can be on your forehead. Find what works for you. And this is a nice place just to return to your breath and focus on those long exhales. You're on your back. You can create that figure 4 shape with the legs, maybe grabbing the bottom hamstring and pulling it closer to you. And again, notice your breathing. Notice where you can slow down and relax, maybe the muscles of the face. And this is often when that monkey chatter in the mind starts to get a little louder. So notice what you can do to come back to your anchor. Perhaps that's the sound or the sensation of your breath, or just the feeling of the earth beneath you. And if you're in the traditional version of pigeon, you can play with activating the pigeon. So like we did coming into it, you're going to stay where you are, but feel as though you're trying to close your inner thighs to touch. You can also press into the top of the back foot and feel as though you're pressing the front shin down and trying to scoop it underneath you. And it can be for just a few seconds. And then you can relax even deeper into this shape. We're here for just a few more breaths. If you're on your back, you might choose to rock the hips a little side to side. And then slowly start to release and take your time here. This is a deep hip opener. If you're in traditional pigeon, you might choose to take a three-legged dog or shake out that side. Child's pose also is an option. And then we'll enter from down dog. So with a breath in, you can start to float the left leg up and back. Go ahead and bring the left knee to the outside of the left wrist and then lower down. Again, take a moment here, perhaps in proud pigeon. So press into the legs, float the chest, try to rotate the hips and chest to face forward. And then you can start to slowly lower over that front leg. And feel free to bring those blocks underneath the forearms, forehead, or even the palms. And then do your best to come back to those long, slow exhales. Breathing in and out the nose, or perhaps dramatically exhaling out the mouth, encouraging that tension to dissolve. And it can be helpful to use hands as a pillow, whether it's the fists as a shelf or the back of the hands stacked. And if you're in traditional pigeon, again, you have the option to play with activating the muscles in the legs as if you're trying to squeeze the inner thighs closed. You do that for a few seconds at a time. Try not to grit the teeth and scrunch the face here. Keep those muscles soft. And then find an even deeper relaxation as you shift into the passive version of the pose. If you're on your back, you can keep the figure four shape and add a little rocking from left to right in the hips. Still focusing on those long, extended breaths. Couple more moments on this side. And when you're ready, you're going to slowly come out of this. Eventually, we're going to make it onto our back, but take a moment to do what you need, maybe a three-legged dog or a moment in child's pose. And we'll start to, lower all the way onto your back if you're not already. You can slowly bring the knees into your chest and start to rock from side to side. Feel free to hold onto the knees and draw some circles both ways. And then we're going to bring the feet down to the ground. And I'm going to have you keep the knees bent, but take a moment to lift your hips up like you're doing a mini bridge. And the hips a couple inches to the left and place them down. And then take both the knees and stack them over to the right. So kind of like chair pose lying down. Arms can stay wide like a T or cactus, depending on the shape or space here. And you're doing your best to keep the hips and knees stacked, but let that shoulder blade, both shoulder blades, soften down to the ground. They may not touch here. You might find it helpful to rest the right hand on the top thigh to encourage the legs to stay closer together. But it's okay if your hips start to rotate here in order to get your shoulder blades on the earth. Just take those nice full belly breaths. Long exhales. one or two more breaths on this side. And as you breathe in, see if you can use your core and bring the knees back to center. We're going to plant the feet, reset the spine, and then go ahead and lift the hips up and scooch the hips a little to the right, place them back down, and then send both knees over to the left. And so we're looking for a 90-degree bend at the hips, knees, and ankles. Instead of feet closer to the bum, bring them farther away from the body, and then take the palms wide with the palms facing up. You can always cactus the arms as well. And again, notice what you can do to relax your shoulder blades down toward the ground while doing your best to stack knees, hips, and ankles. And if it's helpful, left hand can rest on that top thigh. And with each exhale, notice if you can slowly lower and open the chest even more. Maybe let the eyes close as the breath deepens. One or two more breaths. And as you breathe in, see if you can use those core muscles, bring the legs back to center. We're going to bring the feet to the earth, straighten out the spine, and an option for a round of happy baby. So knees nice and wide, lift the soles of the feet up toward the ceiling. You might be holding on to the outer hamstrings. Some of you might re-grip and hold on to the inside of the shins or the ankles. Notice how it feels to pull your knees down to earth and actively try to press the soles of the feet up toward the sky. That nice flat back, you can rock a bit from side to side. You can play around in your happy baby, a little ninja baby with one leg straighter, the other leg bent. Take another moment to play here if you wish. And then last bit is often to give yourself a little hug. Arms wrap around your legs, forehead to the knees, nice tight squeeze. And then relax and let go into your final resting pose. As you extend the legs, allow the feet to fall away from one another. Arms start to soften by your sides, palms turning up toward the sky. Taking one more deep breath in through the nose, feeling that expansion all the way into the base of the lungs. And then let it go. Feel the body deflate like a balloon with the support of Mother Earth beneath you. And allow yourself to be present, to be in this moment, soaking up all the benefits and efforts of your practice. Just tune back in to your body and your breath. I encourage you to remain still and soak up the silence for these next few moments. And I'll alert you when it's time. And slowly bring that deep belly breath back into the body. You can wake up the body with some small movements in your toes, fingers, ankles, and wrists. Might choose for a full body stretch with the arms above the head, pointing, flexing. And you might choose to bend at the knees, start to roll over to one side. It can be a pillow. You might stay. And when you feel complete, you can slowly shift back to your seat. And I'll take one last breath all together. Start with an exhale, completely emptying your lungs. Take a deep breath through your nose, maybe hands to the heart. And then exhale completely. Thank you all for showing up and sharing your time and energy. Until next time, namaste.